a sudden they got a new attitude, all of a sudden. Or how about when you have that new supervisor that's trying to establish themselves as the new supervisor? You know what I'm talking about. They replace the old supervisor, and that supervisor that you had, you really liked that supervisor. You were vibing with that supervisor. And now all of a sudden, here comes somebody that wants to make a name for himself or herself. I can remember hearing somebody brazenly announce, "There's a new sheriff in town." And you, as a laborer, you have to keep it together. But it's hard sometimes. And sometimes you feel like, I've had enough. I wish I could just walk off this job. I wish I could just shut this thing down. But you keep on in spite of it all. But what is it about working for the Lord that if somebody even looks at you funny, I'm not going back. I quit. I'm not. What is it about working for the Lord where that same push that you have for that 9 to 5 does not exist? We get so easily disturbed in church. We get so easily distracted during this Christian walk sometimes. We get so easily discouraged. And we can let the smallest thing just discourage us. Well, they didn't stand up and clap when I sang my song. And we get mad at folks. We get so mad at folks that we just shut up. We get mad at the folks at the church. We get mad at the preacher. We just get mad. Mad at the people who aren't faithful like you are. Mm-hmm. All of it. And yes, I don't want to discount your feelings because your feelings are real. They may not always be appropriate to the situation, but your feelings are real. How many know that your feelings are real, but sometimes your feelings can be wrong? They're real. But sometimes those feelings could be wrong for the situation and the circumstances. How many also know that sometimes the devil can tap into your feelings and make you feel worse? And for whatever reason, your sensitivity is heightened in a church situation. But listen, your sensitivity is legitimate. I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to poo-poo your feelings. But we are not working for those folks that offended us. We're not working for those folks that looked at us funny. We're not working for those folks that may have offended us at church for whatever reason. We're not working for them. Oh, boy. We're not working to please people. Well, I got to speak for myself. I realize that when this life is over, I'm not going to stand before you. I've got to stand before a holy, holy, holy God and give an account of the deeds that are done in this body. I got to tell you the truth. If I had to stand before you, I may not even worry about it. I'm not working for you. We have to keep that in mind. I'm not working for people. My job is working for Jesus. Hallelujah. Listen, I'm here to remind you that we're not laboring to be accepted and validated by people. See, this is what Facebook and Instagram and all these wonderful social media platforms have ushered in, it has heightened our need to feel validated by other folks. And so we are motivated when folks like the stuff that we post. And sometimes we will even give a false sense of reality just so that somebody will like something that we posted. Somewhere we have lost our focus. Somehow the enemy has gotten us off track. Folks don't want to work for the Lord the way the old folks used to. It's so interesting. I was having this conversation with Brother Ron before service started, and we were just talking about the older generation and how tough they were. Y'all know what I'm talking about? We can think about some of those folks when we were much younger. They were some tough folks. I mean, and they endured some stuff. Man, I cannot help. There were times when we'd hear stories about deacons who took their own teeth out because they had a cavity, and they just went and took a screwdriver and some pliers. And I'm like, man, you know good and well we're just about ready to pass out even now. More Novocaine, please. Wait, these were some tough folks. I remember your grandfather. That was a tough old man. I remember shaking hands with one of the reasons why I have a good grip handshake right now is because of an older gentleman by the name of Deacon James Lambert, who would shake my hand and go, "How are you, sonny?" And at first I was like, "I'm okay." My grandfather, that was a tough old dude. They don't make them like that anymore. It just seems like, we just cave with just the least amount of pressure. We're getting ready just to throw up our hands. But these folks, they kept with it. Man, my grandmother was crippled and blind and was still making her way to church. And she wasn't just, well, let me just sit in the back row. She was like, take me to the front. We'd be like, I can't go. A headache shuts us down. We don't want to make sacrifices anymore. We're so conditioned for what's convenient. We don't want to get involved unless the crowd is involved. We don't want to work unless we're recognized and applauded. Heard the brother say to somebody, it just disgusted me. You don't have to go where you're just tolerated. Go where you're celebrated. Man, let me tell you something. We're not into celebrating people. He gets all the glory. He gets all the honor. He gets all the praise. And I want you to know, if you go to this church or anybody else's church looking to be celebrated, you got it all wrong, baby. Jesus isn't just the main attraction. He is the only attraction. Hallelujah! He doesn't just get some of the glory. He gets all of the glory. He doesn't just get some of the honor. He gets all of the honor. He doesn't just get some of the praise. He gets all of the praise. But the enemy has convinced us that our labor is a waste of time. Ain't nobody giving you a day, a Why should you do it? Well, there will come a day. I may not get the appreciation day, but there will come a day. May not get the dinner, but there's going to be a feast. The enemy is telling us that it doesn't matter much what you do. He's saying that it doesn't amount to much. He's saying that folks don't pay attention to you and don't appreciate you in the church. Discouragement has set in at a time when we need to be motivated like never before. And I see the hand of the enemy at work, because this is a time when we need to be motivated to labor all the more, because time is winding up. Jesus is soon to come. And don't let the enemy tell you this lie, that there's nothing for me to do. There is plenty to do in the house of the Lord. There is plenty to do for the upbuilding of God's kingdom. Your gifts will find room for you. You don't even have to find room for your gifts. But what the devil will do is the devil will have you wanting to move around so much in search of your gifts, when in actuality God is saying, will you please just grow where you're planted and watch me open up the way for you, because your gifts will make room for you. Discouragement has set in at a time when we need to be motivated like never before. And so I hear the words of Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10. After dodging Hebrews for 30 years, I'm just in Hebrews a lot. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10 says, for God is not unjust to forget your work and labor of love, which you have shown toward his name, in that you have ministered to the saints and do minister. Let's keep on going. And we desire that each one of you show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope until the end, that you do not become sluggish. I love that word. But imitate those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. God is not unjust to forget your work and your labor of love. Listen, when we are discouraged, we sometimes think that God has forgotten us. See, it goes beyond us thinking that people have forgotten us, and then the next level is God has forgotten me. That's dangerous ground. But it's there for some people. God has forgotten us and all that we have done for him and his people. But I want you to know, God would deny his very nature if he forgot about us. God is what? A just God. It would be unjust to forget about us. God is a faithful God. It would be a demonstration of his lack of faithfulness if he forgot about us. Huh? Great is thy faithfulness. It would go against God's nature if he would deny us. Listen, one of the names of God that we don't use it that much, but I want us to really get hung up into this name of God. We talk about, he's the El Shaddai, and we talk about he's Jehovah Jireh, and all that. That's wonderful. But I also want to remind you that he is El Roy, the God